Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is very late, but I still wanted to release it. Today I'll be setting up my bullet journal for the month of October, and these are some of the papers that I'll be using. Some tea-stained papers, as well as some scrapbook papers that I had laying around. And I wanted to go for a very fall look. Spoiler alert, I didn't end up using this washi tape, but I did use my trusty Sarasa vintage ink pens. And of course my trusty bullet journal. And if you're interested in anything that I used, it will be linked in the description. So first of all is the title page. I knew I wanted to have a very warm fall look here, and sometimes it takes me a while to figure out how I want to set it up, what pieces of the paper I want to use. I usually tear them up and then just position them and reposition them and see what looks nice. A lot of times, at least in the early stages, it starts looking like a weird picture frame in some ways, but usually once it's finished, I can't even tell that the border looked weird in the first place. This one was a little tricky because I just wasn't feeling it, when I first started it. So as I said, I really wanted this warm kind of fall colors theme for this month, and it was actually hard to find papers that really fit that among my stash. So I took some of my tea-stained papers and I added what food coloring I had, some pink and some orange, I think, to the chai tea that I stained it with, and it gave it a darker, richer color. It's still ended up a little bit more pink than I would have liked. I was trying to go for like a darker red, but I don't have red food coloring here at home. So this is what I ended up with, and ultimately I like the way it turned out. Oh, and if you do anything with paper craft at all and do not have a bone folder, I would highly suggest it. It has come in handy several times. So I also decided that I needed to make some leaves to paste into the bullet journal, but I thought that out of the tea-stained paper it looked a little too desaturated. So I took some other papers that and the quote for this month is from Taylor Swift, from her song All Too Well, which, it has that kind of fall vibe, and I really thought it was fitting for the month of October, especially when you see the full quote and when you see how it all turned out. So about right here, I realized I messed up with the G from falling and the C from pieces. It looks like two E's, so I took a scrap of paper and pasted it in there and redid the pieces so that you can actually read it, because it was bothering me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I also used a brown Prismacolor brush pen that I've had for ages to kind of give some extra depth to a few things. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I really love these Sarasa pins. They're by the brand Zebra and they come in these beautiful vintage ink colors, which they're colors that you can't really find very often at your local stores. They're just nice and mellow and I really love them in a way I can't really explain. And unfortunately, I started drawing the month and year off screen, or mostly off screen. You can barely see it. It's a live and learn YouTube moment. And it was a little tricky figuring out where to place all these leaves. But, you know, it's fall, falling leaves aren't exactly organized. They're kind of chaotic. So that is how the placement of the leaves ended up turning out, which is appropriate. And then I outlined the leaves and added the stem and the veins with that brown Prismacolor brush pen. And once that was done, I thought something was still missing, so I took one of my red vintage pens and started drawing little trails that these leaves have made as they've fallen, and I thought it added a really cute touch. So this is where I made the decision that I didn't exactly need washi tape this time. I couldn't find a place to put it, and none of the tapes that I currently have really fit the color scheme, so I just decided to forgo it this time and to move on to my monthly calendar. So there are so many different ways to do a monthly calendar in a bullet journal. I've seen several YouTubers who focus on bullet journaling do them in amazing creative ways. Mine isn't that creative. Mine basically looks like I just copied and pasted a wall calendar into it. But it's what works for me. It's what fits on the pages of my bullet journal really well and is very adaptable. I've found I can fit a 5-week month in that space and adjust it accordingly, whatever the month is looking like, however those weeks and days fall. And I'm relatively new to bullet journaling, but one of the things that I really have grown to love about it is how quick and simple it can be to dress something up and make it look special, whether it's just writing out the month on a separate piece of paper in a pretty way and pasting it to the page, or adding random scrap papers, adding washi tape. It really dresses it up in a way that's not super stressful, in a way that kind of flexes that creative muscle a bit more in ways that I wouldn't normally flex those muscles. And it also has helped me, because I'm a terrible perfectionist, and it's kind of helped me let go of that a little bit when I'm doing my bullet journal, and I can tell myself this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just for me. This is for fun. and that's definitely something I've really enjoyed about bullet journaling. Moving on to my content planner section, this is getting more and more simplified every month I do it. I am very bad about actually writing down what I'm going to post, even when I have like a good plan of what I'm going to post. It tends to end up being very spontaneous whenever I actually do, so I can't say I've actually used my content planner as much as I really need to be more organized. But I still make it every month. Maybe one of these days I will just forego it altogether, but for now, this is what I do. And now moving on to the Dutch door. I've seen several other people do this, and I kind of thought it was a weird idea at first. You know, if you're like me and you love books, especially notebooks, nice notebooks, the thought of cutting into them kind of makes me internally recoil, at first at least. But then once I tried it, I realized how cool this actually was to be able to quickly flip through the month, see a week at a glance, and have a place where I can write down what I need to do for the day and have an extra little spot where I can make like a grocery list or just a list of things that I need to get done and take care of during the week. And ultimately, I really like this setup and will probably continue to do it for as long as I continue to bullet journal. And of course, it needs to be prettied up too, so just added a couple of those scrap paper edges and the month. Oh, and I also added a few more of those leaves that I had left over, of course. And it is done. I am really happy with how this turned out. It isn't exactly the way I pictured in my mind, but nothing ever really is. But I really like the color scheme, how it turned out, the fall leaves, and just how simple it was to put together. I'm always on the lookout for kind of stress-free creative projects. And again, that's why I love bullet journaling, because it is that stress-free outlet for me. Thanks for watching this very late video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I'll see you in the next video.